So speaking of Game of Thrones, I got some of you guys feedback about not too many people get into it. I know I'm not a famous YouTuber or anything, but I would have really loved to get a good discussion going. So I asked the question on my Facebook, and it was interesting to hear the ideas for, or people's opinions. And basically the opinion is that back in those days, those I say ancient times, but like back in those days, people did marry off family. Usually, not usually brother and sister though, but they did marry like their first cousins, which is almost like brother and sister. And so as people were saying that for those times it's acceptable for Daenerys and Jon to get together, it would be acceptable. My fear is that Daenerys is not going to accept it. And Daenerys is my favorite character, but she can be merciless sometimes. And I'm afraid that, does she love him enough to accept this? That's my fear. Or will she try to eliminate him? She's not a manipulating person, but that she can be merciless. And that's one of the things I like about her, God forgive me, is that she doesn't take no crap. But I don't like her to, there are a few times that I felt that it wasn't necessary to kill the person. I felt that was totally unnecessary. 99% of the time I love that she did it, but just this time that she didn't need to. She could have shown some mercy. So now that's what makes me nervous. And not just Jon, and you all should have seen last week's episode already. But, I'm afraid that since Sansa has become a stronger person, and that, will she try and hurt her, because she's not respecting her the way she feels she should be respected. So, those were my fears about Daenerys. So, the truth is, if she loves Jon enough, this is my opinion, then she'll marry him and accept it. So what a lot of people brought to my attention is that back also in the ancient times of the Bible, I know a lot of people don't believe in all of that, but the first man and woman were created, and their children, there was nobody else. So obviously they had to have other children, and they had to have married their brother and sister, and it was acceptable. I think all the way until Leviticus through 3. I think it was acceptable up until the third book of the Bible, when God started saying no more. There's enough people on earth that you don't need to marry your brother and sister. But it was still, even 100 years ago, especially in royalty or within the rich community. So about 100 years ago, it was still acceptable for cousins to marry as well. And even in my day, there was a couple of first cousins that they used to call them kissing cousins, fell in love and got married. But their children, you could tell that they had problems. So it's still, I still don't find it acceptable for Jaime and Cersei. So anyway, it was interesting that people just kept saying back then it was acceptable. That was everybody's opinion, that it's okay for them to be together. And again, it brought to my mind, well, yeah, it was like that even in the Bible. So back in the ancient times. So, but again, that's my fear is, will Daenerys love him enough? And like I said, it's been a week. So spoiler alert. I was dying to see if Bronn would confront Jaime. And many of you, your opinions on that was he has been through enough. He should be forgiven. Yes, he has done good, but he still sleeps with his sister. And that bugs the crap out of me. And he knows that it's wrong. And it just seems so selfish of him. even though last season he finally like stood up to her. So, you know, I won't talk about last night's episode because I know last week it ended that Braun and I spelled it wrong. It's Brand. It's spelled Brand, but it's Braun. Braun and Jamie, again, spoiler, saw each other, you know, and Jamie was crapping his pants. So last night's episode helped me to realize some stuff about that, but won't talk about it because people, you know, may not have seen it. So, so maybe I'll talk about it next week, but, you know, so anyway, that's my opinions, and you guys have helped me to understand, you know, about Daenerys and Jon or Aegon. I think that's his real name. I knew he had a real name. I couldn't remember. Aegon Targaryen. So let's see where it goes, and then next week I might, you know, just tell you my realizations about last night's episode. But I don't want to do that because sometimes people don't get to watch it right away. So anyway, okay. I think that's all that's in my head right now about questions. I just wanted to discuss it a little bit more. And so yeah, so I will see you guys next week. You know, I just thank God that my days haven't been as busy as far as having to leave the house. So I just try to keep up with the house and do stuff that I need to do in the house on those days. But at least it gives me that one day a week to do the video. So yeah, so next week I'm going to do some more looks with Physicians Formula. I'm going to do a look with this one, a look with this one. And then I think I'm going to go back to Wet and Wild stuff. Okay, love you all. Mwah.